All right, with me today is Marcia Diogo, fellow Arizona resident like myself, and she has graciously agreed to sit down and talk with me about race issues here in America and a little bit of her own experience. And Marcia, I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you sitting down with me today.
Oh, thank you for having me here. Good to see you.
Um, I, you have a unusual backstory. I know a little bit about it, but if you would, can you share a little bit about how you got to Arizona? Just whatever you're comfortable sharing, and a little bit about who you are.
Yes, I'm Marcia Patricia Diogo, and my story is long, so I'm going to try to make it short as possible. I was born in Angola, this is in Africa, between like South Africa and Namibia, and my dad's grandfather was from Bahia in Brazil, Salvador Bahia, and my mom's dad, his father is from Portugal. So I lived in Angola until I was like 11 and a half. And then my dad was in politics, and he was in kind of work that I see in Angola it's not as free as here. So there's some things people can do there, and some things you cannot do. Like you cannot talk about the government. If you talk against it, they'll come after you. So basically, this is a little bit what happened to us. So from Angola, before we moved, my dad he spoke against some injustice that was happening in our country, and then also the company he used to work for, and he was also a musician, so he was very known. It didn't help him as much sometimes. So in 1995, 96, my dad had to kind of disappear for 2 months. He went on a work trip somewhere in Europe, and he never returned without. So the people that was after him, they were telling us that my dad was dead. So for 2 months, we believed that my father was dead. They stole our identifications, like passports and everything. We had to sell our house for only $15,000. We lost everything. We had to only get whatever we could so we could leave the country. So uh, we moved to Germany. Oh, finally, one day my dad called. We couldn't believe it was him. So we found out that he was in Germany. So we were able to move to reunite with him in Germany and in Hamburg. So family was together, but we were refugees there. So the German government kind of separated us for like a year. They wouldn't allow my dad to go with us, for like a year. We couldn't be in the same place. So it was very traumatic for us because we were very united. And I was so young. I was 12 when we left, yeah, about 12. So I couldn't really understand what was happening. So we moved to Lunenburg. We were reunited. We were living together. And it was a very racist place. It was like a little bit of Hitler town, Braunschweig. Braunschweig. From Braunschweig, we moved to Lunenburg. It was better. In Braunschweig, my sisters and I, we are four sisters and one brother. We couldn't even go to the bathroom by ourselves in school because the Nazis and the Russians would get us. So it was very traumatic, coming from a place where people look like me. It's a mixed place, but I never experienced racism because prior to moving to Germany, we spent a few months in Portugal. So I felt home in Portugal. It was like second home to us. So Germany was tough, but then we moved to Lunenburg. It got better. In 1997, we moved to Nordhorn, Germany. It was very nice. We had a really nice home. The people were really nice. Things got way better in school. I didn't really feel like outsider. So we were really welcome there. It was better for us. So in 2001, because of my dad political situation, we had to leave Germany. We were gonna get the citizenship, but things happened. We could not stay in Germany. So your president at the time was Bill Clinton, and he heard about our story. So he invited us to come to the United States with American rights. So from the moment we came in, we had already documents that we could do our citizenship, so we could start working right away. I started going to school. We moved in 2001, and one of my sisters and we didn't like Arizona as much, and we wanted to go to school. It was too hot for us, too dry, coming from a very green place with trees and stuff. So it was very depressing, missing our friends and family. So it was too far from the rest of the family that was in Europe. So in 2002, in August 2002, we decided to go to Los Angeles, California. We went to school there, my sister and I, and we spent 3 years in LA. And then I was very adventurous, you know. I'm like, okay, I was in my 20s. I wanted to know more about United States. So I moved to East Coast. And I
Wow.
went to York. Yeah, I went to York in 3 months, 3.5 months, 4 months. I went to York, Pennsylvania. I went to Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, all those places there, New Jersey. It was really nice. But then we found out, you know, that my father was sick because when he spoke against the government, against the people, he was poisoned. So, and then my sister and I decided to come back, you know, because he was just too sick. Oh, yeah, a bunch of organ failures. So I've been here since 2005. I came back.
Wow. So the very first place you lived in America was in Arizona?
Yep.
Wow. That would probably not be everybody's first choice, and I can understand, if, especially during the summers, why you would have chosen LA over Arizona for a little while.
Hmm.
Um, and I have to ask, just because you know, your accent is something that's immediately recognizable. How many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak basically, I'm supposed to say four, but since we came, we don't really speak that much German. So some days my German is good, some days not so good, and some days I think I'm speaking German, but I'm speaking English. So, but my first language is Portuguese, and then I learned German second. And when I came here, I didn't speak English at all, so I picked up on Spanish. I always wanted to learn Spanish, and I had to learn English. Yeah.
Very impressive. I can order in English restaurants. That's about as skilled as I am. One of my favorite comedians said, "Hey, I'm unilingual. I can do one language, sort of." Well, so in your time in America, what have you seen? You know, you talked about your experience in Germany a little bit and the racism you encountered there. What have you experienced personally in terms of racism since you've been in America?
To be honest with you, like when we moved to Arizona, there was not a lot of African American people. This is from what I remember, you know. But I was very excited to live in Germany. I always wanted to know Afro Americans. So, but what happened was, I didn't understand. It was harder for me because I'm sorry,
That's okay.
my dog. I was trying to settle him, but he used to be a bad boy. But anyways, so when I came, you know, there was not a lot of Afro Americans, a lot of Black people in Arizona. So we felt like the outsider because every time we would go to a mall, things people would look at us. But I didn't feel as much as like people were being racist. I think people were kind of being curious about, you know, who we were because of accent. And then I, like you can see, I like to wear like colors, you know, and when Arizona was not a very colorful state.
Right.
So, yeah, I didn't really realize that people were being racist against me because I wasn't really paying attention. One thing that I noticed, you know, when I went to, I think I was very welcoming, but I think it was the accent, you know, and I think to be honest with you, when you are a foreign Black person, you get treated better than an Afro American person. I know even Black people, Black men will come to me and say, "Oh, you know, I don't talk to a Black woman, but because I know you know from here and your accent, yeah, I will talk to you." From the white friends that I also had and have, they'll say, "Oh, you know, I talk to you because you're not from here," and they love to use the word so sophisticated, which is really a insult. But for me at the time, I was young, so I felt like it was a something good. So that's why I didn't think it was racism because the way they express themselves about me. But now, like the more I think about it, it's like, wow, they were really racist, you know. But because of my culture, my manners, the background, people were nicer to me and my family.
Was it a feeling that you were just unusual, and that's why people were talking to you? That was just it wasn't you yourself. It was just that you dress in traditional clothing, you have the accent, and it was a novelty for people to talk to you?
Yeah, and until today is the same. I think if I was just any black woman, American, that I wouldn't have nothing different. I would not be as welcome as I have been here. I'm sure about that because people say sometimes when people think they're giving a compliment, they will say certain things that I feel bad about it because I was part of the problem. Like I was saying, because that turned me against the Afro American people. Because like it's one thing that I even made a video to apologize because when we talk about Afro American, we talk about the black people that came from Africa as slaves and now they are born here. So it's like a mixture of the American and the African culture. But especially now with all that is going on with the protests like Black Lives Matter, we forgot that the whole world has black people in it. And black started in Africa, so there's African, there's Afro Latina. So I'm considered Afro Latina because of the Brazilian and Portuguese roots. So, but there's black people in South America, there's black people, darker skin in Asia, in North America, in Europe, in Australia. So it really covers a lot, but people only focus like, oh, it's only one group of people. But it's not because, the African people, even when people say, oh my God, I love Africa. Africa is a continent with so many countries, and every country has its own culture, and they have their own native language. Like Portuguese, we speak Portuguese in Angola. It's a Portuguese colonized country, and they were there for 500 years. But our culture is a mixture of different things. Because when the Russians went in Angola, the Cubans went in Angola, Brazilian, the Portuguese. So Africa is a place with so many colors, from the whitest person to the darkest person, different foods. But when you see here, they show Africa on the TV, you see like people running with the monkeys in the wilderness, on the trees and things like that. So it creates kind of confusion in people minds.
What are you seeing when you watch, whether it's reading the paper or on the news or on social media? What do you think that America is doing well right now in terms of looking at the race issue? What do you look at and say that's a good thing? I see that, and I hope that we see more of that.
What I see is that one thing that I'm very grateful for is very beautiful to see. I never saw the whole world standing up for my race, and to see even in America, like now we see um, people business that are standing up for people that look like me, that people look like my daughter, my sisters, my niece and my nephews. I see that people are being held accountable for the misbehaviors when it comes to black people. I see like the cops that are doing dirty work are getting in trouble now. Something that I really never used to see. Neighbors and people, they just call the cops on people and attack black people. They are being fired, and people are taking action against racism. And this is what I'm focused on. I see it's amazing. People are protesting, but at the same time, I see a cover up. And I tell people, not everybody that is say I'm standing with you guys and really means well. I think some of the people just don't want to lose business, or don't want people to know their true colors. But so they say things like that. But I don't know. Yeah. But to
And
see
no,
people standing up is a beautiful thing.
yes, it is. I agree completely. And I know from your Instagram posts that you're a woman of faith. And what have you what have you found in scripture, or what has God been sharing with you that has brought you some peace during what is clearly a very tumultuous and uncertain time with the recent protests and things like that?
See, one of the things that I feel like God is showing me in this situation, because I will say, it's a black woman, it's a person that have seen what other some people how other some races can oppress the other. And when you see, like, my daughter was born here, her father is South American, and my nieces and stuff, So when I as a black mother and they have black daughter, and